Ben, what are you doing on Tuesday at 12 o'clock?
Tuesday. I think I'm free.
You're free? Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm looking for an interview coach.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can interview. I can coach you on interviews. Yeah.
No. I'm not looking for somebody to coach me to attend an interview. I want you to come with me to my interview and sit next to me and be my coach. While
like a live coach,
like a AI coach.
and like an AI coach. So what you're saying is, I have extreme brain power, like an artificial intelligence, that I'm making the cut for your coach. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sorry, I'm stuck in the extreme part, but I think there's an element of brain power in there that I'm hoping that I can leverage. I just think I need somebody to sit next to me and help me
Yeah.
with.
So is this the topic du jour of whether you should have an AI bot in your interview?
That is the topic of the day. Should we have?
Should we have AI assistants in interviews?
Yeah. I'm looking for a pilot. I'm looking for a co-pilot.
A co-pilot to help you with interviews.
Mr. Assistant.
Do you think? Are you saying that I'd be interested in your take on this actually, because I think there's different levels of AI involvement in interviews, right? You've got co-pilot, where hey, yeah, here's a coding suggestion for what you're working on, and then you've got the full-blown ask me a question, and I'm going to type it into ChatGPT, and then I'm going to read the answer to you off my screen. Which of those two do you think is acceptable, Fred?
Oh, spicy. We just took it to a different level.
That's it.
I'm going with the first one. I'm looking for having that support to write some really good code.
Some support to write code. You think that's okay? Yeah. That's acceptable?
Well, if we think about the interviews, why do we go for an interview?
Why do we go for interviews, Fred? I don't know.
I mean, that's a topic by itself. Why in the world are we still doing interviews?
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe hang around. There'll probably be something coming up on that topic maybe later.
A topic for another video. Yep.
Yeah. But if we think about, the old, you have to come in for an interview because we want to understand who you are. We want to see if you can write code. If we're going to allow our engineers to use a co-AI assistant during working hours and solving problems, then we should allow it in an interview so we can get the sense that as an engineer you are able of using the pilot that sits next to you.
I think it makes sense. There is a school of thought in interviews where they say that you're not even allowed to look stuff up on Google or anything. You're not allowed to have any reference material, no nothing. It just has to come out of your brain. So how would it, that school of thought, people in that camp, they must hate co-piloted interviews, I'm sure.
Hate's a strong word.
I'm thinking they are quite passionate about it though.
I'm just seeing comments popping in. It's like, hey, what are you talking about? Why allow Google? I hate Google.
Or Stack Overflow.
Yeah, how do we know you can think? Oh, I just thought about using Google. I must say something.
Hire the best engineer that can Google the best. Search for things the best.
So do not repeat yourself. But then we go into an interview and we have to figure out something that is being solved 200 times.
And then some. 200 million times.
So what are we testing? What's the real interview?
Yes. That is a very good question. So maybe as your coach, Fred, maybe. So how would we do this? Because I could come and we could have two keyboards, maybe. Like you're in the interview and you're on the camera, or you're present, and, or maybe you're like a little in-ear piece, like a spies use or whatever, security guard, and then you could have a keyboard, and then you could have a You could talk into a little microphone under your shirt. Go,
I was thinking more about the tennis coach. Yeah, so
Oh,
you've
okay.
been to a Grand Slam event, and
Yeah, yeah.
so you did a serve and it didn't go well, and then you see that face of desperation,
The
and the coach
look.
can't do anything.
The
But
look.
coach is just there to give you support.
Tennis is a bit. It's a bit low key for me though. I think it'd have to be like the footy or the soccer or something like that, where you can just, as a coach, you can just get fired
Hold
up.
on, hold on. Now
if
we're
you
talking. Now
if you,
we're
if
talking.
you if you write a bug, Fred, I'm just gonna be like, Fred, fix it, Fred.
You're going to write test. Sorry. You're going to write test. Why aren't you
Yes.
writing test? I want to see you write test. Move, 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 move.
Or if you go to solve a problem and say you don't write tests first, I get you on that one. If you go, oh yeah, sure, I'll just fix this problem. I'll be, Fred, where's the test?
I'm starting to go with the in-ear,
Oh, you think
gentle.
that might be better?
Yeah, probably a
I
bit more
could
gentle.
really though put some volume into that in ear piece. You'd be you would probably be flinching while I talk to you in your ear.
But would it be that bad that you can have somebody with you, next to you, to
That's
help you through the
probably
process?
what if the interviewer was your coach? Could that be a
Ah,
thing?
hold on. Let's stop the
Could
bus
that
for
be a
a
thing?
second.
Yeah,
Somebody just rang the bell.
yeah.
Okay, I like that. I like
I,
that.
that's got
Yeah.
some merit to it. Although there are varying levels of skills in terms of interviewers. So I don't know how effective they would be as coaches in an interview situation where someone's live coding and you're helping them through it. I don't know. You could end up with all sorts of interesting
I
things.
I think some of the best interviews
Yeah.
is where while you're coding or you're solving a problem or you're demonstrating your skills, that the person that is interviewing you is going on a journey with you.
Yeah.
So where there's involvement, challenging, pivoting,
Yep.
pausing and saying, okay, hold on, let's change that a bit. What are you thinking there? So, all
Yep.
right, okay. Instead of it becoming a one-sided affair where the scroll comes out and here, hereby I sentence you to write this solution. Behold, if you don't do the following,
With zero mistakes.
zero mistakes.
Zero mistakes allowed.
Oh, what are you doing there? Oh, okay.
Yep.
So you
I
don't
think I
know
asked.
what is patterns.
Yes, yes. I think I asked once I said, I'm going to write, they said, write this thing on the whiteboard, some code. I said, yeah, it's fine. I said, but I am not going to write compilable code that works. I'm going to write in pseudocode that kind of looks like, I think my language of choice was Ruby at the time, your favorite, Fred.
Maybe we should make a rule here that of all languages in the world that we talk about, we do not talk about Ruby.
I think actually, what if all interviews were in Ruby? I mean, that
It
would
would be a
be.
lonely place. Yeah,
Would you just go into a different career at that point? Would you?
yeah.
That's
That's
it.
okay.
I'm out.
I'll be having a little coffee shop called Ruby, and I say, "Oh, wow! Why did you go with the
I
name
mean,
Ruby?"
I'm doing Ruby. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, in this case, it wasn't Ruby. It was my own invention of Ruby that I just made up on the spot because I warned them and said, I'm not going to expend brain cells on remembering syntax of everything on a whiteboard and have perfectly executable code. I will not do that for you. But they accepted that. They're like, yeah, it's fine. Just like, so they went with it, which is cool. But maybe it takes a bit of, I don't know, fearlessness or guts or something to say that to an interviewer, probably. Like, you've asked me to do something. Now I'm going to adjust your question into something different and give you the answer to that. So maybe that's a skill in itself.
it's interesting what you just said there, Dan,
Yeah.
about being brave or to openly say, look, I'm not going to be able, I'm not going to just write code. I'm going to use a form of some word you just mentioned that I don't want to remember. That is a form of something that people use out there. It's a form of pseudocode.
Yes. Yes.
And to take that chance.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the power balance in interviews are sometimes a bit out, where you don't have the ability to go in with that confidence and saying, hey, I'm going to do some form of implementation, but it's probably not going to build. It's not going to be perfect, but I'm going to give you an indication of what I think it's like. And you should be able to see my ability and my skill.
Yep. I always think back to one time I had an interview at Amazon, and I always think back to that moment and thought, you know what I should have done? I should have stopped the interview right now. Like, just stop the interview, right? Mr. Hiring Manager or whoever it was, can you tell me, is this interview style successful for you? Does this actually work for you? Because this is not working for me. Let's do something different. Let's talk about something I've done in the past, a project that was really interesting. Let's dig into some technology that I know instead of your weird random questioning. I think back to that time, and I think I probably should have flipped the tables on the interviewer. I reckon maybe I can do an Amazon interview in the future just to do that and get the satisfaction of being able to flip the tables.
It reminds me of one of my first interviews, moving to the wonderful place that I call Melbourne.
Yep.
And I had to do some implementation of I'm trying to remember if it's like a link, like a collection or something in C#, which by itself, the component is available in .NET, but you had to implement it using references. And I said to the interviewers, well, to be honest with you, you're not really going to get any indication of my skills if I do this.
Yep.
This is not going to show my ability to solve problems or show
said
you that I can solve business. Yeah, I wish I had a coach that day, because you would have said, stop. Just time out. Let's relax.
So does that? Yeah, go. Keep going.
Yeah, it didn't go well. Yeah,
Didn't go well.
The feedback on that one was, it's like somebody drives past with the Porsche and you go, well, you're driving that. Yeah, never a good idea.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I guess sometimes you're in an interview situation though. Maybe it's like you realize this is not probably going to work. I don't think I actually want to work here. So maybe in those scenarios, you could just flip the tables and go, let's just do something different. Let's just not do it your way. Let's do it my way.
So then, if you're going to be my interview coach, I'm just what are the goodies you're going to bring with you for the day?
Well, I think definitely the earpiece, so I can
earpiece. Right,
I can relay things to you. I guess you're going to have to do it in Ruby, because that's probably my strongest language, I would say, out of anything. So it's probably going to have to be in Ruby. You're probably going to have to bring donuts to the interview, because
donuts. Okay,
hold on. I need a snack.
Ruby and donuts.
Yeah, I'm going to have to be watered and fed and things like that. So you got to look after those things when you're in a high stress situation. When the rubber hits the road, have donuts. That's what I always say.
So do you think using a co-pilot in an interview, you would be in a position to get an indication of skill?
Yeah, I mean, more recently in interviews, I've been asking people to bring some code with them. It can be like a coding exercise thing, or it can just be code they already have. Like, just bring it in and we'll go through it together. Chat about it. Why did you do this? Why did you do that? And I used to, in the old days, I used to have people pair on the code live. So in that scenario, you would be coding live. I don't do much pairing with people these days. I kind of just do it as a conversation. We kind of skip the actual coding part. But if someone was to do that today, I think it would be fine. I think what's interesting about, like you were saying before, the tools of the job also commonly include these kinds of things. And why wouldn't you use them if it gives you some saved keystrokes in a day? I guess sometimes the danger is that it suggests code that doesn't work properly. I think in that case, maybe that's something good to see in an interview situation, how you handle that. Like, if you actually get bad code, do you understand what it gave you? Do you understand how to tweak it and adjust it? Do you know that it's not correct? I think that's just as good. If you're doing a pull request, a code review, you're pairing with somebody else. In those situations, you're looking at the code and giving feedback on someone else's code. Does it really matter if an AI agent or a bot generated that code? I don't think there's that much difference, really.
How big a part of an interview is the coding exercise for you?
So if I break it down, it would be, I think it's like 30% of the whole thing, roughly. Maybe it's 50%, depends. So sometimes I cut the other parts shorter, but generally with the code side of things, I'll generally keep that as a pretty decent amount of time that we spend together. So I think it's super important. I think you got to have code. I find if there's not code involved, then you're kind of talking in abstractions and metas, and it's not as when you're talking as like engineer to engineer, right? And you're talking, this is how I code. Why don't we just do code together, or why don't you just show me some of your code? Then you're actually demonstrating this is how I do it.
So the code is the conversation starter.
Yeah, I do get them to run me through the code. So that's kind of how I start it. So I get them to bring code in, and I say, okay, run me through it. And I usually give them a bit of hints and say, just where you started, what you traded off, what you would have done if you had more time. Tell me about how things work. I actually get them to step me through the code mentally, and that actually gives me a better view of like how they think, how they solve problems, how they approach the problem, how they broke the problem down, where they started, why did they start that way, what were they optimizing for? Because I think an engineer, I think, is making those decisions every day, right? I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to use this code. I'm going to approach a problem this way. This is the best way I think to approach it. But I want to know kind of how someone does that on the job. So that's what I'm looking for.
So if we think about software development in the software development life cycle, so we focus a large percentage on that coding aspect, then it's almost like we're missing the other building blocks and the other important aspects of an engineer's role these days. Do you see that, bringing that into an interview, an ability to deploy to a cloud provider and spinning up a pipeline and the ability to deploy to a Kubernetes cluster or serverless implementation? Do you see that as a critical part of an interview?
It's I usually ask people about it, and if they do some code and it has it in there, cool, that's like bonus points for me. I usually ask them some questions about it and might kind of dig into it a little bit just to see how deep they've gone. It's not always I think you can still have really great engineers that work in different environments, and the environment can more depend on how much exposure you get to other parts of the ecosystem, like to actually get code to production. I would prefer an engineer has hands-on experience with getting code to production. I prefer that because in our team at Homes, engineers are doing the full-blown thing. So they're doing everything. So if someone comes into the team, though, I'm not really expecting them to cover every tick every box, right? Because I think engineering is too broad. You've got so many things you have to handle. I mean, when I first hired the team at Homes, I built the AWS setup, account setup, configuration, network setup, the whole lot. And it's like, I wouldn't really hire people at this point and go, can you set up AWS from scratch? Like, it's already been done. You know, it's not like we need to go back and re-architect our whole AWS configuration. So I'm not really worried if people don't have coverage in certain areas. I think I'm expecting actually that people will have coverage in different areas. I'm probably hiring more for that. So I treat it like a team of experts in different spaces, right? Or you got someone who's great front end, someone who's great back end, someone who's got a bit of ops, DevOps, production kind of support ability. You've got someone who's great at like engineering practices or testing or things of that nature. And then together as a team, they learn from each other. They bring their strengths, but they also learn from each other as well, help mentor each other, coach each other. I think that makes a good team. So,
Okay. What if we what if we come into an interview and so I was thinking about that pairing we were talking about. So we got Copilot and we got the option to have a coach coming in with you. So what if we provide a coach? Right. So I'm just this came into my head while I'm nibbling on a donut and imagining my Ruby coffee shop is doing great. So we got an interview coach. You come in for an interview, and instead of evaluating your strengths, we actually take some of the areas where you don't have that experience and teach you in that session, and then see how quickly you can pick it up and implement. So if you've never done DevOps and you have never built up a CI/CD pipeline with using pipeline as code, your coach comes in wearing a little towel and water bottle and walks in
Gatorade.
with socks up and little shorts and go, hey, I'm going to teach you pipelines, go. What do you think? I'm starting to like that. And then you can actually, there's a bonus is you can either get somebody that you can say like, okay, wow, they pick it up quite quickly, or it's, sorry, you did not win the prize, but we're going to give you a little something to take with you in that kind of skill, and you're contributing to the engineering environment out there.
Yep. I do like that idea of someone coming in for the interview and they leave with value. I try to do that for people, because even if you don't hire them, I think it's still worthwhile if they've taken the effort, particularly if there's a take-home coding exercise involved. They're investing significant time, so I want to make sure, try to give value back. And I think like if you can teach someone, or you can give them feedback, or you can help them grow as an engineer, I reckon that's awesome, man.
So Tuesday, 12 o'clock.
Tuesday, done. You bring donuts. I'll bring the Ruby brain, and we will code like some champs, mate. Championship coding.
I'll see my AI Copilot on Tuesday, 12 o'clock.
That's it. And how much is Copilot? You can throw me some dollars, whatever you pay for the Copilot. You can give that to me now, yeah. Sorry, I just got stuck there for a moment when you said I must pay you to be my co-pilot. Suddenly this is not making any sense anymore. The whole economic reality of what we're talking about.
I'm going to come back. It's hard times at the moment.
Okay, okay, very good.
We're all having it a bit tough, so
maybe I'll accept donuts and coffee. That's fine.
Yeah. Let me go. Thanks, Fred. Think about that.
We'll see you Tuesday.
I will see you Wednesday.